It began not with a declaration of war, but with silence, an eerie, echoing silence that fell across the Gaza Strip like a heavy curtain drawn over a wounded stage. In this narrow enclave, just 365 square kilometers hemmed in by barbed wire and blockades, death didn't announce itself with a bang, but with the hum of drones, the glare of phosphorus, and the relentless roar of missiles that reduced apartment blocks to shadows. This is the story of Gaza, a word now synonymous with catastrophe, a place where the term genocide is no longer whispered but shouted across protest lines and courtroom walls, a word the world is reluctant to say, yet millions across continents chant it in the streets. Is it hyperbole? Is it reality? Or is it the brutal clarity that language offers when diplomacy fails and morality collapses? To understand Gaza's current descent, we must rewind. The Gaza Strip, home to over 2.3 million people, has been under a suffocating blockade by Israel and Egypt since 2007, after Hamas took control following democratic elections. It's one of the most densely populated regions on Earth. What began as a geopolitical stalemate has calcified into what many human rights groups describe as an open-air prison. Years of war, airstrikes, and blockade have stripped Gaza of its infrastructure, economy, and future. But nothing prepared its people for what would come in late 2023. After Hamas militants carried out a deadly attack in southern Israel, the Israeli government launched what it called a complete siege and ground operation in Gaza. But as weeks turned into months and air raids into leveled neighborhoods, it became clear this was more than a retaliatory strike. Hospitals were bombed, refugee camps obliterated, entire families vanished beneath the rubble. International observers warned of starvation, water was cut, electricity disappeared, and the body count surged, over 37,000 dead, more than half of them women and children, according to local health authorities. One by one, journalists were silenced. Al Jazeera reporters broadcasted live through bombardments. Photographers uploaded final images before they were killed. And then came the stories that broke the world's heart. Babies pulled from rubble, a child writing goodbye notes on scraps of shrapnel, UN-run schools becoming makeshift morgues. Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International began using the word war crimes. Others, including former UN officials and legal scholars, invoked another word, genocide. The United Nations Genocide Convention defines genocide as acts committed with intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group. It's not a term used lightly, and yet survivor testimonies, relentless aerial attacks, and the targeting of civilian infrastructure have sparked global legal scrutiny. The International Court of Justice has opened proceedings against Israel. South Africa, Bolivia, Turkey, and a growing chorus of nations have demanded accountability. Inside Israel, reactions are polarized. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu claims the military actions are necessary to eliminate Hamas. Yet critics within Israel, including Jewish scholars, Holocaust survivors, and members of the Knesset, have condemned the disproportionality and dehumanization of Gazans. In one now infamous quote, an Israeli official referred to civilians as human animals, language that echoes the darkest chapters of history. And in the West, the United States continues to supply weapons, billions in military aid, vetoes at the UN. Political leaders offer tepid calls for restraint, while children die in refugee camps named after previous wars. Meanwhile, protests swell. From London to Jakarta, New York to Nairobi, millions march under the banner of Free Palestine. University campuses erupt. Civil society splinters. The world is watching, and the world is choosing sides. Still, amid the rubble, there is resistance, not just from militants, but from poets, doctors, and mothers who cradle their children and say their names aloud, refusing to let them be statistics. A defiant humanity flickers in Gaza's ruins. A wedding held in a destroyed school, a teacher writing math lessons on a wall, a father building a swing set from war debris. The story of Gaza is not just about geopolitics or borders. It is about whether the world will uphold the very promises it made after the Holocaust. Never again. It is about the architecture of impunity, the fragility of truth in a time of algorithmic warfare, and the moral line between defense and destruction. This is not just a regional conflict, it is a mirror, and what we see in it, what we allow, will define not just the people of Gaza, but all of us. Because in the end, genocide is not just an act, it is an echo, and it begins, always, with silence.